Hi everybody. I thought I'd get us started. I think we have some time, but I thought I'd get myself set up. I am using an Archon mount. Very exciting. Got myself my space set up. Got all my tools set up. Now we just wait for the people to join us. Oh, I see somebody. Say hello. Then at least I know who's actually online. But I'm hoping that I'll do this right this time. And have it all posted on the event so that people who can't tune in can tune in later. And maybe this might be the start of something quite exciting. Okay. The only bad thing about this is I've got my camera on using my phone and I can't tell the time. So I'm hoping we're not far from 11:30. I'll go ahead and get my fondant set up. So I've got my white and I've got my pink. And please tell me if you can't see anything. I think I should be able to see your comments and stuff. Oh, here's another. How do I find out whether people are actually watching? Okay. So this is just fondant straight out of the packet. I play with Bakals. They come in different colors. With the white though, I also like to use Renshaw. I find Renshaw quite malleable. It's a lot more forgiving if you need to work, with it for a little while and you don't want it to firm up too quick. Renshaw works really well as well. But otherwise, Bakals, because they all come pre-colored in colors that I've been working with them for quite a long while and I quite like the colors. Having said that, Renshaw's hot pink is just absolutely beautiful. It's a beautiful hot pink. If you ever need hot pink, because hot pink is really difficult to come by. I might just get started. If everyone is ready and wanna join in. Hi everybody, it's Pearl and I am a sugar figurine artist. I have been working with figurines for a good many years. I've had my cake business since 2013 and since moving, I'm originally from Perth. And since moving to Sydney in 2015, I've found myself in a position where I wasn't able to make cakes. So I turned my hand to creating figurines for other people. And it has kind of taken on a life of its own. And now I make and send figurines all over Australia. Okay, I'm going to try my best to remember to explain stuff. So if you find that I'm not explaining myself well, ask me questions. I'll try to make sure I look at the screen to see your questions. If I don't see them, just pop them down anyway. I will respond to them when we get off this live video. Okay, so playing with fondant. You can use any type of fondant. People ask, do I use gum paste? I don't really use gum paste very much. I find with gum paste, if I don't use all of it, most of it goes to waste because they've been preconditioned, because they've been ready for you to model with. I find that sometimes they've included too much of the hardening agent or the drying agent that when it comes to actually modeling, it doesn't behave necessarily the way I would like it to behave. So I start with fondant and then I turn it into what I need to turn it into. So I have CMC powder or Tyler's powder. That's your drying agent. I also have Solite. Solite is good for making sure nothing sticks to you. It also helps to smooth things over. But generally, I like to lather up my hands with it so that when I play with my figurines, it doesn't stick to me as much. I find it works really well, especially when I want to smooth things out. Okay, so you notice that I've got some guide strips. Now the guide strips are there for me so that I can do my proportion work. When I come to making figurines, I find proportioning things makes it easier in getting the correct, like for example, I've got my head, my body, my arms, my legs. If I proportion them according to volume, I find generally the sizing is correct, or the proportion is correct. So here's my rolling pin. I think it's like a silicone pin, which means that the fondant won't actually stick to your pin. And I use a silicone mat, because that helps me pick it up with ease. If you don't have this mat, that's fine. You can just use your tabletop with a bit of corn flour just to stop it from sticking. So general rule is, when it comes to making figurines, I like to go on the 1 for a head, 2 for the body, half for the arms. That kind of helps me proportion them accordingly. You see I've got different size cutters, and I think like that is probably a good size for your body. That's good for your head. You've got these that you can do for your arms and your legs, and of course you can pinch them to suit your figurine. So if I go ahead and start with the body, and different people will start with different things, you'll find some teachers will tell you got to start with the heaviest part of the piece that you're creating. But I find that if you start with the lighter piece and then you work with the heavier piece, then it kind of comes together a bit better. I'm not really doing a very good explanation of this. Head, body, arms, legs, for instance. Some teachers will say start with the body, because you want the body to dry before you put the head on. I quite like to sometimes work the other way. I like to work with the head first, because once I've got the head ready and I know that the head has actually had a chance to dry or firm up, when I go and do the body, the head's not that heavy that the body's not going to be able to support it. So and when I go and pick the head up to put on the body, I can still maneuver the body, but I know that the head's going to stay the way I've shaped it, and it's not going to go out of shape. So that's how I like to play. Okay, so I've got my body, I've got my head. Now I'll go ahead and create my arms and my legs. And see, the beauty of using this method is that I know that when it comes to, volume, it's going to be right. So there's my 2 legs. Right, and I'll do the same for arms as well. Now, the vote has been for me to create rabbits. So and that's what I'll be doing today. So we're going to create a rabbit. There are so many different ways to create a rabbit, but hopefully with just the simple techniques, you'll find you'll be able to apply it to just about any kind of rabbit that you want to make. Okay, so I'm just going to start with that for now. Okay, so you'll see that I've got my body, I've got my legs, I've got my hands, and I've got my head there, right? I'm going to start with the head because, like I said, I want to be able to make sure that after I've shaped my head, it's going to stay in shape, and I won't have to worry about, modifying it later. I'm playing with fondant, so it's really, really soft, right? This is not going to hold up. If I were to shape my bunny's head with this, just this as it is not going to hold its shape, and when I go and pick it up, I will inevitably squish it. So, and you might be alarmed by this, don't be. I actually coat my fondant in quite a bit of Tylers, only because I find that it allows me to make things pretty quick, and it allows me to have it set really well. So all you're doing is you are massaging the Tylers into your fondant. Pick up any excess there. You'll actually start to notice it will start to change its consistency. Okay, so everything you're gonna hear me saying teardrops, teardrops, teardrops. I like teardrops a lot. So teardrops is a matter of just creating a little ball, taking one end, and then rolling it between two hands to get myself a teardrop. See how I did it? So you start with a ball. Okay, that's a round ball. And then you take your palm into a corner and you roll it to and fro until you get yourself a teardrop. Okay, now this is going to be the shape of your bunny, your head of the bunny. All right, so with your bowl tools, now I like to play with different sizes of bowl tools. I like the metal bowl tools. I find that with a bit of weight, it helps to create my indent without applying a lot of pressure. So here I'm going to start with the nose. I always kind of start with the nose because when I've got my nose in place, I can work out then where my eyes are going to be. So say for example, if I were to draw really light lines there, my eyes are going to be on either side of his nose. Yeah, so we don't want those lines. I'm just going to rub them out. But essentially, that's what you're going to get. You're going to get your nose. You're going to get 2 points for your eyes. Okay. Bunnies being bunnies, we need to create a little indent. Okay. Now, the dents will just make it look a little bit cute. And it'll give it a bit of cheeks, some cheeks there. So, by rubbing just with the biggest bowl tool, just giving it 2 quick dents, and then using the other side just to deepen that a little. You're going to give it a bit of a, can you see the face coming along? Now, where your nose is, my blade tool, my trusty blade tool, draw a line down the middle. I hope I'm actually doing this right. Tell me if you can't see it. But if I take it and just draw a little dent down the side of it, you're gonna see that happening. And right here, you can either do a little score. Can you see that? Yep. Right, got my little face happening there. Helps to do that. Okay, can you see the face coming along? So you got your indent, you got your face happening. There you are. Now, because I've already created my dents here and here, that's where my eye socket is. I'm gonna put my eyes in place. So I'll have 2 round dots here for my eyes. And of course, I forgot to pull out my sugar pearls. Now, I am a creature of comfort. Oh, sorry. A creature of convenience. Comfort too, but convenience. And I like to use sugar pearls because I sometimes get too lazy to actually make them up myself. And because they're already created, you just pick the right size to fit. Alright. And all you need to do is then, with your water brush, you got to test it to make sure it works. Okay, back of your hand or on your mat itself. You can put it on the mat And then all you need to do is really just dab a bit of water in place and then sit the sugar pearls in there. Okay. And using either your blade tool or your bowl tools, you'll help it get pushed into place. See how you got yourself a face already? So that little dent into, for the eye socket, and then putting the eyes in, you start to create yourself a really cute face. And not only that, notice how with the dent you create that little cheek as well happening there and there, right? And because you've created a dent, you've got that high brow happening, which is so, which is what will give the figurine its character. And if you really want to, you can, I won't do that actually, I will give it its nose. Now, you don't have to worry about the nose, adding Tylers to the nose. You can if you want to. If you don't want it to be out of shape, you can just use it straight as is. You don't need a whole lot of Tylers, just a tad, and just rub it in to give it a bit of, to make it firm up a bit. Just a touch of water where his nose is going to go, and sit it in there. Okay, and then I like to just make sure that the nose sits within a cavity. Okay, and that's the other thing with cavities. The reason for creating them is so that the piece of fondant that you plan to sit in there is going to sit right. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and make sure that that dent is done beautifully. And look, I've got my bunny's face. Okay, don't look like much at the moment because it doesn't have any ears, but I can now go and sit that aside. I'll sit that right there, and I'm going to work on its body. Okay, now the body, again, I want it to be able to hold its shape, so I'm going to give it a fair whack of Tylers. Okay, and this will help it hold its shape and stay out. Okay, notice how it's going to get sticky and it'll stick to you. To counter that issue, you can dab into a bit of Solite or vegetable shortening. Okay, just rub it into your hands. It just stops the fondant from sticking to you, but it also helps you massage this really well without it being a complete mess. Okay, so massaging, making sure that all that Tylers has been picked up. Okay, teardrops. The bunny has a fat bottom and a narrow top, right? So again, into a bowl, and then between your two palms, you're going to do that until you get a teardrop. I know I make it look easy, but I promise you it's really not that difficult if we practice. And really, I have been doing these for years, so what I started doing years ago, like I've come a long way from there. So it's all about practice. So don't give up. If you're struggling, you think, how does Pearl make it look so easy? Really, it really is easy. Just with a little bit of practice. Okay, my bunny's gonna sit down, and when you have you ever seen a sitting bunny or a toy bunny? They're really quite rounded in their tummy. So that's what I'm doing. Look, can you see that? I've got my teardrop, and it's kind of narrow on top, and it's kind of fat at the bottom, right? But the fat at the bottom is what makes it kind of cute. So I'm gonna sit my bunny with its really fat bottom, rounded tummy. Okay, and that's going to be my body. Look, that's it. That's my body. Okay, now I'm going to create arms and legs for it. Don't worry, I know I've missed the most important part of the bunny, but I'll add to the bunny after. I'll show you what I do with the legs and the hands. Okay, So, Tylos, I'll keep saying it, you know, add to it because it'll just help your fondant stay in shape. Okay. And teardrops again, lots and lots of teardrops. Now, your bunny's feet is gonna be you kind of want to press it down a little, okay, and one part of it's going to be the bottom and one part of it's going to be the top of the feet. Now we want to make sure that when we do this, we can use the table to help us, because what we're going to do is we're going to try and do some indents into the bunny. So if I did my indents here, top and bottom, side and side, when I go and pick it up, you're going to see my little dents, yeah? You want to make sure that that dent is extended a little at the bottom, just so it looks really clean, neat and clean. And then that's the bottom of your feet and that's the top of your feet, yeah? So I'll do the same with the other. I hope that makes a bit of sense. I'm going to turn it upside down so you can see that's not the right way up. This is the bottom, okay? That's the top. So with the other, okay, we'll do the same. And notice how when I've actually cut my pieces in volume using the cutter and the strip cutters, each volume is the same. That makes it, you know, even. So if I wanted to do, you know, several different, if I have to do like, you know, multiple bunnies, and I'll need them to all look the same. This way, I know that when I create my feet, each feet is going to look the same as the next feet. Okay. So again, here's my teardrop that I flattened. Okay, and I'm going to put this against the table, and I'm going to put 2 dents here from the bottom. Okay, and by doing that, I've got myself 2 dents here. That's the base of my feet. I'm just going to pull that through just so that it's nice and neat. I like to finish things off properly, and details are so important when it comes to figurines. It's what makes or breaks a figurine, I find. Okay, so here's my 2 feet. Okay, and by attaching this, and you can already feel, look, my body's nice and firm already. So I know that if I were to squish it really hard, it'll squish. But if I were to now attach it to it, I know I'm not going to push this completely out of shape. Bit of water, okay. Remember, that's the base, which means I've got to put water here so that it'll stick to the body. And here's the other, okay. And I would actually take it to just the base of my by pushing it against the body and then lifting it up into place, I create a nice joint. Okay, by doing that, it's just really, you know, neat, a lot neater, and you know that they're connected that way. Okay, so if I do the same on this side and I go under and then I lift it into place, see, it curves naturally and it will sit against the body naturally. Okay, there's my 2 feet, my feet, okay, and the body. Hands, okay, I never put the head on. I always put the head on at the end because I like to actually blend any joins. So if I'm joining arms to a body, for instance, or I'm joining legs to a body, I like to try and blend that together so that it looks like it's all one piece. Makes it neat, makes it it's cleaner the way it looks. Okay, my bunny's arms are not going to be short. My bunny's arms are actually going to be a bit long. And when I say that, I mean that I'm going to be creating long teardrops. You're going to get sick of me saying teardrops at the end of this. But this is a really quick and easy way of making a bunny. You'll find it won't be so dissimilar with a lot of other type of figurines or animal figurines you need to make that are sitting. So here's my 2 balls of fondant that I've put tiles into, and I'll again between 2 hands roll it. Okay, that's too skinny now, so I'm gonna just squish that down and try again. Ball. And I do need to make it a narrow teardrop, but I don't want the ends too thin. Okay, so I'm gonna roll it up through the middle so that it's a little bit elongated, and then I'm gonna use the table to help me flatten this out a little. Okay, by allowing me to flatten this out a little, I can create my little arm, which I can then attach to my body. Okay. Sometimes you'll find your arm too long, or it's too much and you want it shorter, or you want it smaller. You know, go ahead and pinch off what you want and what you don't want to create that look. In fact, judging from this, I can say that I've got probably too much for an arm. I could probably go ahead and halve this ball that I haven't touched yet, and these will be my 2 arms, because there'll probably be more than enough to do 2 arms with. So note to self, one for the, you know, the little one, half of it will be the arms, rather than, and one full for the feet. Okay, so there's my arm. Okay, again, and when I finally post this up so that it gets to, you get to keep and play back. You can fast forward all my talking. I know I talk a lot, but I find that when you're on your own, you end up talking to yourself a bit. I don't know about you guys, but I do anyway. So here's my body. Here's my arms. Very cute. Cute arms. So I can have my arms down on either side of the bunny. It depends on, I guess, what kind of look you want. You know, I can have the bunny's arms brought around the front, and he could be holding a flower if I wanted to. Maybe I'll do that actually. Maybe I'll make him look like he's holding a flower, you know, for Easter. Or an egg for Easter. Now that'll be right. So I'll go ahead and maneuver just those beads there. And this is just me attaching. It's not stuck down. It's just me, you know, having a play to see what suits, you know, the bunny and how it's going to sit. And the legs, the feet's all there already. Once I'm happy with where it's going to go, apply a bit of water. And that will help it stick. Now I get asked, don't you use sugar glue? No, I don't use sugar glue. I only use sugar glue if I find my pieces not sticking very well to each other. But when you're playing with fresh fondant, it's already, it's sticky enough with just a bit of water. So that's all you really need. It's a bit of water. Okay, so here's my bunny, and I'll make the bunny's hands come together a little bit, because I can always put something in between his hands. So there we go. We've got the bunny's feet. Okay, the bunny's hands. And I've already done his head. So I can go ahead and put his head on if I wanted to. Now you'll notice that, see, it's really quite high up there, right? So what I really want to do is I want to create a dent. And look how where I've actually pressed up against that, it's already created a small dent for me. Which means when I go take my bowl to it, I know exactly where I need to press into to create a slight dent. Okay. So that the bunny will now sit beautifully on there, and it will cover, look, it covers all the seams. Yeah, is it clear? It'll cover all the seams. I'm too high up. Okay, so that'll help, and to hold it all together, toothpick. Now if I were to just shove this toothpick straight in, it's gonna make the bunny's body squish a little. So to help it go through, I twist. Yeah, by twisting, you're not dragging the fondant with you, so that kind of helps. And try and twist it so that you find it meeting the base here like this. Okay, and I like to go to and fro just so I can neaten up the hole a little. So this is me now going from the bottom up to get up to the top again. Okay, and because I can control this, I can sit my head in its place before I push the skewer into place. So now I can add a bit of water. Okay, this will help everything stick together. And I'm gonna go ahead and sit my bunny where I want to put the head on to. Okay, and I will just turn my skewer and push the skewer in place. Oh look, he's looking kind of cute. Okay, now you want to try not to make the bunny go, you don't want the skewers to come through his head. So when you go and put your bunny onto a styrofoam to dry, make sure you pre-hold the styrofoam, because if you don't and you try and push this toothpick in while his head's on, you're going to find you might end up pushing the toothpick straight up and through his head at the top. So by putting pre-holding your styrofoam, you'll be able to sit it on without any trouble. You can still be able to pick it up as well without any trouble. Okay, this is how I'll probably dry my bunny. Like, he'll sit on here to dry. Now this bunny's not finished. He doesn't have any ears on yet, so I'm going to put this to the side, see if I can keep him in the frame or not, or just not quite. Never mind, you'll see him in a minute. I'm going to create his ears and his elusive tail. I haven't forgotten his tail, but let's do his ears first. Now you can make the ears as long or as short, as you like. I find that if I start with two same size amount of fondant, then I will get the same size ears. Okay, and this is a lot through practice, but if you really want to make sure that they are exactly the right amount of fondant, you can put your rings onto your silicone pin, roll a nice flat piece. Okay, because they're ears, they don't need a lot of fondant. You're gonna find taking a cutter and cutting out 2 pieces of fondant will give you your volume for your ears. And then you can, again, teardrops, but this time you want your teardrops to be, narrow again at the top but flat at the bottom. And you can use your rolling pin to help you flatten this out a little bit more. Okay. Using the table or just between your fingers, you can help to flatten this out into the shape you need it to be. Okay, now I'm gonna make the bunny one ear coming down the back of him, or I could make both ears doing that a little. It's entirely up to you how you want to place your ears on your bunny, But whatever you do, where you sit your ears is important too, because you're just using a V. So you've gone a V from the nose to get to the eyes. That's where you're going to end up with the ears as well. So on either side of those eyes, you're going to create 2 dents. This is where your dents, it's important. You need the dents so that you can hold your ears in place, okay? And this is where you're going to be able to apply a bit of water and put your ears into it, okay? So I'm going to sit my ears into that end, and then I'll be able to, using my blade tool, I can smooth that so that it looks like it's all joined as one. Okay. I'm going to bend my ears here because I think he's kind of cute and I want him to look a little inquisitive. I do the same for the other side, but this time I'll let this one hang a bit, I think. So I just add a little bit of water. Push that into where the dent is. Okay, and with that bit of water, help you smear that over so that it actually look like it's one. Okay, there you go. I've got my bunny looking a little curious, and he's going, what? What's that? Okay. Now, leftover fondant from before. Let's see if I can. Is that better? Yeah. I'm going to give him a bit of a tail. Oops. I used the bit where I've already had towels in it because then you'll keep its shape a lot easier. Now, if you find your fondant drying out and you need to bring it back, you can always go ahead and add a little bit more fondant to it. So then your piece that you've actually conditioned with Tylers isn't too stiff to work with. So like say for example, that's really quite stiff. So I'm just going to add a tad bit of fondant to it, and this will help to soften it up a bit more, which makes it a little bit easier to maneuver with. Okay, so I'll create myself a bowl. And probably just a tiny bit at the bottom for the bunny's tail. I'll flatten this against the mat at the base here. Okay, so I've got my tiny pointy bit there, and then the base here, and I'll just go ahead and score it a little, so it'll look a little like a bunny's tail. A pinch. Okay, and I'll take it to the back of the bunny, and I'll be sitting it up against the bunny's back at the back there. So again, wet it. Again, tuck it under and then lift it up into place. Okay, and then when you go to actually pick it up, you see that it has, it has kind of curved around the bottom here, and it's kind of curved around the bunny's bottom, making it a nice finish at the back. See? Okay, notice how everything's all kind of joined in together by actually putting the head on last and creating that dent and sitting over the top here. It looks like it's all meant to be. It's all kind of neat, and the hands aren't sitting out or away from the body. Yeah, so you've got the tail on. That's going to take a little while to dry. So if I sit him back into the styrofoam, with the tail in its place. And then you've got a sitting bunny. Okay, and to just finish it off a little, I like to use edible, like this is they call it food art pen, but it's by Rainbow Dust. I think there are different brands out there that does a similar, but I like this because of the nib at the end. There's a marker part on one end and a nib on the other, and the nib just makes it easier to get in there and do like the finer details, you know, like so it doesn't look too chunky. It makes it look nice and neat. So by just giving it a bit of an eyebrow, and see how I'm following that curve, because I've done my eye socket in the beginning. That eye socket gives you a good place to sit your eyebrows and your eyes as well, so you know exactly where to sit it without it looking oddly out of shape or out of place. Okay, and there's your bunny. You can also, once this is dried a little, you can go ahead and dust on the inside of that to give it a bit of pink there. You can, I like this one here. It's called Pearl Pink Sherbet, and it gives it a really nice blush or glow to the cheeks. And it's just that. And just taking it to the bunny's cheeks and just giving it a little bit of color. It's kind of cute. Just finishes it off nicely. And there you have it. I know, Stephanie, you wanted a super bunny. I'm gonna have to probably do a couple of variations with him to do a super bunny, but I thought this would be kind of quick and easy for us to see for the first time anyway, of my very first live video with everybody, how we make a little bunny. This would be good for Easter. Ain't it cute? Thank you for tuning in. I'll keep this video posted up on Facebook, on the events anyway, within the event, so that we can actually try and categorize the different videos, so you can actually come back and look into it when you want to. But thanks for tuning in, everybody. Here's the bunny. Bye.